Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you here today, and it's my pleasure and honor to welcome a gentleman who's become a dear friend and a gentleman who's helped me become a better human, Roger Love. So, Roger, welcome to the NuCalm family and welcome to tonight's webinar.
They say you can't choose your family, and I believe I've made an excellent choice, even with that saying.
Why don't you start, Roger, with giving us a little background of who you are and your magnificent journey.
Awesome. I won't go all the way back to birth. I'll start when I was a little kid, and if ever I wasn't feeling happy, I would sing. I certainly didn't understand the science of that or the science of anything, but I did understand that when I opened up my mouth and I belted out a tune, whatever emotions I was feeling before that were negative suddenly flew out the window and I felt happy. So it's only fitting that so many decades later, I get to be friends with and collaborate with NuCalm, who understands and has been able to teach me and millions of other people how the voice and sound changes what's happening inside your body, inside your brain. But my story was literally, like I said, I was just a kid who loved singing. And I, at 13, convinced my parents to let me go to the most famous singing teacher in the world because he had all the biggest stars. And he took me on as a student. And I was learning to sing. That was my whole life. At 16, he left. I was 16. He was 50-something. He left for Canada to teach a master class. And he said, would you like to come over and teach my students after school because I don't have anyone to teach them? Again, I'm 16. His students, the Jacksons, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Barbara Streisand, the biggest of the biggest singers in the world. I said, sure, I'll come over after school on Monday, having no pre-knowledge of how to teach anybody anything. I was just trying to be a good student. So I show up Monday after school. My first student is Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, who is now on the other side of a piano from me, looking at a 16-year-old. I am thinking, this is not going to turn out well. But I said to Brian, not thinking anything else, Brian, tell me what problems you're having with your voice. And then he said, I can only sing one night in concert, and the second night I'm already hoarse. I said, great, I can fix that. And then I started playing the exercises, and I took him through the only thing I knew, the vocal warm-ups. And I actually found things in his voice that were creating pressure and strain. Fast forward, my teacher brings me in as a junior partner. At 16 and a half, I'm the #2 man in the most famous voice studio in the world. I kept going to school, college, everything. But over the 17 years he and I were partners, I taught singer after singer after singer. And 17 years later, I left and I started working with speakers. People like Tony Robbins started coming to me, and actors, superstar actors started coming to me to work on their speaking voice. And in the 17 years, I realized that I could help people open up their mouths and create sounds that would influence millions and millions of people. And I set out to being able to do the same thing for the speaking voice. Because that has been my trek, my journey, my passion for so many years, to train the speaking voice so that the sounds that are coming out of your mouth would actually make you healthy, wealthy, and smarter. Long story short.
That's a short story that could extend for hours. That's amazing. I can't imagine what Brian Wilson was thinking. So tonight we're celebrating a collaboration. I get introduced to Roger through one of my favorite stockholders in our company. And it's really a marriage made in heaven. It was so easy for us to collaborate. I've learned so much from you about voice, air, nasality, Adam's apple positioning, tone, pitch, monotone, speed, how much information to share at a time. So this collaboration does two things. One, it elucidates Roger's world-class voice coaching. There's nobody better in the world. And it comes to you on an app in your pocket. You take it out and you have Roger at your discretion, press play. Furthermore, because doing the exercise by themselves has a tremendous amount of merit, but when we add in physics and we command the state that we want you to be in, We're elevating the actual experience. And this track was unique for us, Roger, because the one thing we did not want to do was interfere with the master who's helping his students master their voice. And you have to hear with great clarity your voice and then my voice doing the exercise. So, what do we have, Roger, in the new track, Voice Coaching with Roger Love? How would you explain this new track?
First, let me touch on a couple of things that you've said. I even thought this would be an amazing idea before you agreed with me, was that everything that NuCalm's been doing has been about having people listen to sounds, and those sounds affect their brain, their body, all positive. And I said, Jim, why don't we do something with the people making sounds, creating their own frequencies, their own hertz, their own sounds that are vibrating in their own bodies? And why don't we combine people actively not only listening to sounds that change their brains, but making the sounds that change the brains? So what's coming together here is a first ever. Think of meditation times a million. You're trying to come up with the perfect mantra. I'm giving you the sounds you should make, matched with the sounds and the neuroscience to help put your brain in a place where you'll be calm, confident, powerful, influential, happy, and healthy. This is, to me, this is a marriage made in absolute heaven.
It is. And I can tell the audience that after 6 months of working with you, there's been a significant shift in my self-awareness of my voice, my ability to exude the information I want to share. And for me, most importantly, I get so excited. Who knew you could get excited talking about the brain? But I do. And one of the first things you shared with me is say, Jim, I love what you're telling me. And there's a lot of information. But do you think maybe pausing and allowing my brain to accept the information in packets may be worthwhile? Do you think just sucking from a fire hose for 45 minutes is an acceptable learning path? And I thought, no, it's not at all, because the pace and the tone. Also, I'm a chest voice person, lower voice. And then when I'm speaking in the medical community, lecturing to doctors, it wasn't about animation. Animation seems like hyperbole. So I almost developed this monotone, didactic learning vocalization. But you have helped me to understand breath.
Perfect. When I was primarily a singing coach, when a singer comes to a voice coach, they want to be able to sing from low to high, all the way up and down the range. So this idea of building out the voice like it's an instrument that goes from low to high, that really revolutionized the way that my students were singing. And then when speakers started coming to me, I looked at everything I had done with singing, and I realized that speaking and singing were basically the same thing, and that humans had separated them dramatically. So all of the music, all of the emotion has actually been drained from people who are speaking. So that's what I teach to start. I build an instrument. You come to me, you want to buy a piano? I'm not trying to sell you a piano with 3 keys at a good deal. I'm trying to sell you a piano with 88 keys. Maybe you won't hit all of them when you play them, but I'm going to build your instrument. With that instrument, you'll be able to turn your voice into an influence connection machine that creates conversations that lead to relationships that create the life that you want.
How does this connect to breath? I think I used to sing in a band, and I used to struggle with chest voice to high. And I used to be raspy and a lot of pressure, and I didn't like it. Didn't feel good. I was never comfortable. But when I do the exercises that everyone's going to get to do, if you haven't already tried it, there's a breath, there's a command that I'm not familiar with. And today I'm blessed to have that. I'm not out of breath. I'm not struggling. I love this command. So how does the breath work throughout this process?
First of all, I forgot that you were in NSYNC. I didn't recognize you because you're all grown up. And I didn't see your feet, so I didn't know you were dancing. So congratulations on your prior band success. Okay?
Yes.
Second of all, most people, when they breathe, they're not using breath to create the volumes and the melodies and the beauty in the voice. Basically, people are holding their breaths and talking like this. It's like they're using their inner voice instead of their outside voice. They're holding their breath, and then the sounds that are coming out are suffering. They're weak and timid and shy, and they're not affecting people because there's no breath attached. What you want to do when you speak is you want to have air come out of your mouth, solid stream of air, and the words ride out on it. And where do they go after the solid air with words? Where does it go? It vibrates the bodies of the people you're speaking to. So when you're speaking with the right amount of air, speaking becomes a physical connection. Your sound is vibrating their bodies. They feel you. They don't just hear you. So here's a simple fix. How do you know if you're holding your breath when you breathe? Everybody put their hands on their tummies. Okay? Now, count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Count. 1, 2, go.
3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Great.
That breath.
Anyone that just did that in the listening audience, my new friends, if your stomach was stationary, you're holding your breath. The only way you can get air effectively out from the lungs to the vocal cords to the people who want to hear you is to only speak while your stomach is coming in. And hardly anyone does that. I teach people to learn that they breathe in through their nose, they pretend that there's a balloon in their tummies, so the tummy comes forward, and then the whole time I'm speaking, my stomach is slowly coming back in. That's like an accelerator pedal on the car that pushes just the right amount of gas to the engine, just the right amount of air to the vocal cords, so that the sound comes pouring out without you straining and struggling and creating any tension or pressure. So unless you're speaking while your stomach is coming in, there's no way to have an amazing voice. That's just one of the little tricks and tips and secrets that you'll learn with the warm-ups.
Now, also, as you go through the warm-up, if I'm very present and I'm paying really close attention to all of it, I actually feel a state of really deep relaxation and feel more grounded.
Yes, and also a state of elation because you're actually releasing dopamine into your brain, and it is making you happier.
Where does nasal challenges come from?
Nasal challenges come from the fact that most people allow their Adam's apple to go up really high when they speak, and they think that that's just them. They have a nasal voice, come closer to me and kiss me, and they don't understand why people don't come closer to kiss them because they have a nasal voice and they think maybe that person has a cold or something, sinus problem.
Anyways, it comes from air being directed to a nice open throat into the mouth and then bouncing into the cheeks,
as opposed to your larynx being up, your Adam's apple being up, and it directs the air above the soft palate towards the sinuses. I can't tell you how easy it is to take someone who sounds nasal, show them that they can lower their Adam's apple. Watch this. La 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 la.
La 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 la. I just had my Adam's apple down, not because I was a freak in a circus who learned how to sword swallow, but because I learned that if I lower my tongue, my Adam's apple goes down, which opens up the back part of the throat, which then sends all this extra air into my cheeks, and the sound bounces into my cheeks.
So instead of sounding like this,
all of a sudden I sound like this. My throat's open, the air's flowing, my tummy's coming in, and I've lost the nasality. Nasality is about a 15-second fix to a problem that most people think is a lifetime curse from Mother Nature.
And it's not only the person who has a nasal voice, but everybody in their life would be like, what happened? Did you get a deviated septum surgery? I mean, what's going on here? And we know, don't we, through science validating the connective tissue of the vocal cords to the vagus nerve, an expression of your nervous system and your health. So the anecdote that we use is, hey, if your mom's still alive and she called you right now and she was histrionic, within a nanosecond, you know this. If she's elated, she just won Publishers Clearinghouse, only to find out that they're now bankrupt. She goes from high to low, you know, in a nanosecond. So there's so much connective tissue here. The triangle of what we've accomplished with this collaboration is fascinating. The science side, we already know the connection of the laryngeal nerve to the vocal cords to the vagus nerve and the expression of our voice is a direct correlation to the health of our nervous system and our cellular resilience. Now we can take a track, 19 minutes and 30 seconds, a great explanation, only 3 minutes and 30 seconds of our magic physics formula in 40 hertz to elevate you, and then you walking through these exercises to allow us to connect, grow, and command our voice, which further commands the strength and resilience of our nervous system. This is all related in a triangle. It is so fascinating. I'm so excited about this collaboration. I'm excited about the other triangle, the power trio, Tony Robbins, Jim Quick, and Roger Love. Guess what? They're all connected as well. We can change the state of your brain by effectively modulating the frequency of your brain wave. That's what we do. That's what NuCalm does. Then we can add in the complexity, the power, the breath, the vocal cords, the nasality, the Adam's apple, all the physiology of the voice, so that I can express myself in the manner that I deserve to express myself and have an intimate connection through vibration like a tuning fork to the people who are receiving my message. This is absolutely amazing to me.
Someday, I mean, we understand that certain sounds heal things, change cells, structure, release chemicals into the brain. We understand that how sound works. What we don't understand is that the sounds we make are so powerful that we actually are generating the sounds that are making ourselves healthy or not healthy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have launched a historic collaboration. We went with a less is more approach, but the less is more is a perfect augmentation to what we're trying to accomplish. And the subtleties that we can express through neuroscience, which you can't hear, we're actually elevating and making it feel like there's something important happening, and allows you to pay more attention to the emotion of the actual exercise. So that's been fun for us. But this partnership, this is the beginning of a lot of things we're going to do together. This isn't the first and only track we're releasing. So Roger, welcome to the NuCalm family. Welcome to this collaboration. We are honored and so excited to have you as part of our family. Any last words for you, Mr. Roger Love?
Just have fun with those warm-ups. Just have fun. Just imagine that you're on stage and those sounds coming out of your mouth, and imagine that there's people in the audience and you're not scared of them because they love the sounds that are coming out of your mouth. We want to give you that experience. That's how you eliminate fear. That's how you create unlimited opportunities. So thanks for believing in me when I said, hey, we should collaborate. And thank you for being an incredible company made up of unbelievable people. And sky's the limit of what we're going to do. But right now, we just want people to have fun with it and just let yourself enjoy it as the performer you are and the person you are and the emotional being that you are, all learns to come out of your mouth and change your life.
So ladies and gentlemen, you can find this inside Ignite, Voice Coaching with Roger Love. Enjoy it, express yourself, grow. Much love to everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in.